Oh, yeah.
quote-unquote pass rush targets. Now, you see Myles Garrett at the bottom there. Obviously, he just signed a huge monster deal. He's not coming. But I think this one that I've seen has some names on here that are interesting and that could be quote-unquote available. I don't think Max Crosby is available as well because I know he just signed a deal. So I think you can cross those two. I wish I could do it interactively and cross those two off. But I think there's some other names on here that make a lot of sense, and I think there's some other names on here that can make work, and that I'm actually familiar with. I want to say at least 90% of them. The two at the bottom I'm not so familiar with, and Carl Granderson and Joe Tyrone
You can
Shonaka.
take both those off the list because they're not in the conversation of what they would be looking for.
Yeah,
Granderson maybe, but I don't see that benefiting. Barnett's not coming back. Funny enough, you mentioned Crosby. I would actually put this if I had to pick 5 out of here, right? And I had to rank it in form of possibility. I'd have Hendrickson first, Chubb second, Jermaine Johnson third, Jalen Phillips fourth, and I'd have Max Crosby fifth.
Okay.
Hendrickson is the most open player on the market. San Francisco is inquiring heavily as we speak. We'll see if something gets done. He had a supposed injury. I can't remember what it was. It's expected to be nothing. But there's been some little birdies talking about Hendrickson and the Eagles. Crosby's their big swing if they were to make something happen, but I just don't see the Raiders moving off of a franchise caliber player mid-season. That seems like more of an off-season trade.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Phillips and Chubb with Vic ties. Marcus, I love you, man, but go back and look at how players felt about Vic in Miami. It wasn't very good. So Phillips was actually hurt that year. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's a young player. He's at the end of his contract, high upside, but again, injuries. Chubb has been paid a lot of money. Jermaine Johnson's kind of the most intriguing from a financial
Yeah,
perspective.
I thought Jermaine, because he was Florida State kid, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was the Florida State kid. He's long, lean. He can play that wide 9 as well as stand-up pass rush. He can't really drop into coverage.
I think he was a top 20 pick, if I'm not mistaken, by the Jets.
Yeah, he was 22 or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Pack when they got Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson were the 3 that they got there.
Yeah.
So
never really materialized. I think that's not a bad.
Jermaine Johnson would make the most sense as far as if I had to peg a name on here that I would say, if I had to put a dart on it and like that's the guy that I think they're going to trade for, I'd put Johnson. But like I said, in the list of most likely to be traded, I had Hendrickson first because of what we're hearing around the league right now is that Hendrickson is widely available. The Bengals are going to make a move on him, and it's more likely to happen before the deadline. If it doesn't, then he gets traded in the offseason. It is what it is. But 30-year-old Hendrickson could be on the move. Crosby is the big name that has a big what-if behind it. Yeah, that's another great point made by Marcus there. Joe Douglas is back with the Eagles, and he was a pick by Joe Douglas. So Johnson fits the mold.
Joe's back, right? Douglas is in the house, right? Is he still?
Yeah, he's back with the Eagles.
Yeah, he's back with the Eagles, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So if I were to put it like this, I mean, Jermaine Johnson would be the name on here that I would kind of put my stamp on as if I had to say a player that would be traded for before the deadline. Edge rusher wise, who would they go get? It'd be Jermaine Johnson. It makes the most sense.
It does make the sense. He fits everything to mold, right? He's young.
It was final contract player. I mean, you're putting him into a contract year. He's more of a rental. And then the good news is maybe you get a comp pick because he gets paid in the next cycle, and they can figure some things out. But he's a young guy that if he makes it worth it, you can extend him.
You would need to because you're not paying him his qualifying offer on the 5th year as a first round pick.
Well, I think he already got his 5th year picked up, I believe. So you would just assume that. But when it came to contract negotiations, it would get a little tricky being a first round pick because he would be eligible, or I believe he already is eligible this year for a contract extension. So he's fighting for that extension. Yeah. Whereas a guy like Crosby has already been paid. But the problem is with Crosby is he shakes up the entire salary cap book.
He does.
Accounting has to be redone when Max Crosby comes over here. Same with Myles Garrett. And I don't get the sense that with all the internal drama that's going on that they really want to bring in those kind of numbers to move around. And they still might. I can't put anything past Howie, but I mentioned something earlier to you guys about, I find the Zadarius Smith situation intriguing, specifically for Howie's negotiations, because it's a fact. He has been on the phones looking for edge rusher help and cornerback help throughout the year. This was before the Zadarius Smith signing and so on. So now the opposing teams are just going to look at him and be like, well, you need this player. What do you have? Because we know you need this player. So they're not going to budge on whatever compensation they might be budging on. Crosby is one that like I said, I put a little asterisk behind it. It would make me extremely, I love Crosby. I don't think we need to talk much about the player. He's a stud. I think Hendrickson
be a weird fit, but I get it.
I don't like Hendrickson's fit. If you want me to be honest with you, I just
he's a hand in the he's
a down lineman. He's not he's an old school 4-3 defensive end. He does not fit how this team plays defense. And if you want me to be honest with you, there's not a.
But he can rush the passer though.
He can. He's fantastic. I mean, he's fantastic. Yeah. But there's not a player on this list that fits a true Vic Fangio edge. There's just not one on here. And I think that's the problem is because those players are almost created. They're not drafted. You know what I mean? Parsons coming out was an off-ball linebacker. Abdul Carter was an off-ball linebacker, turned edge rusher. And I noticed something that Marcus said earlier, and the idea that Nakobe is just going to come off this patellar and be able to play off-ball backer next to Bond and just slide Campbell down into edge. The NFL does not move that many things for one pendulum. You know what I mean? You don't move that many pieces to make one thing happen. And also, Campbell these past 2 weeks hasn't even looked good at off-ball linebacker. So you're telling me I'm just going to shove him into a brand new position and see what he can do? He can't set the edge. He doesn't have that kind of strength. Look at his frame. He's not built like that right now. He can be that player in a couple years. But he's not that guy right now. He is perfect for just playing off-ball linebacker. He's a modern, lengthy, rangy off-ball linebacker. And I think him and Bond, they have a similar interchangeable play style, but they're not the same player. He doesn't play with the same instincts Bond plays with. I mean, you can just tell the different in snaps played between the two players. Because Campbell, he's starting to second-guess his movements. He's not running off instinct. And to think that we could just move this kid to the edge, I mean, you could attest to that better than I could. I mean, come on, take an off-ball linebacker, put on. He hasn't played edge in how many years? I mean, 3-4 years? So to put him out there in the NFL, when we've shown pressure, he hasn't looked good coming off the edge. To make him a full-time edge rusher, that's not what this team needs. I mean, they need a legitimate pass rusher. And the entire league knows it. So Howie has to fork it up.
Yeah, I know what you're doing here, Marcus. There's a lot of problems, right? And you're throwing out solutions and seeing what stick. The one thing I don't like about this one is it's a need, and it's been a need since day one, at least in my eyes, and from what I've been
talked
saying
about it.
Well, I've been saying past. I think we even talked about even preseason. What are the biggest needs on this defense? And for me, it was pass rusher. I had pass rusher 1. Yep. So I think that now it's starting to be a glaring hole. But I'm not a big fan of moving somebody who is been a proven quote unquote master at his position to something else because of need. Like, I don't want to move an all-pro linebacker now to edge, right? And that drops his production. And I think he's the green dot out there. Is it? Yeah, he's the green. He's got to be. Yeah, he's the green dot out there.
Green dot. So you can't move Bond at all. Like, he can't move. Bond is gonna play off ball linebacker.
Yeah, he's got to play where he's at.
Because, I guess the simplest way to put this would be Fangio runs it's 3 phases, right? Mm-hmm. You have the front, you have the middle, you have the back. Every phase has to work together in order to play great defense. Now, every single defensive scheme could say that. But the way we play is so unique that you pull Bond out, the open of the field's right there. They're just going to check it down in the middle all day long, just like 2023 when we had Zach Cunningham and Nick Morrow out there. I mean, when you put those kind of backers in play,
those names.
I mean, come on, dude.
Right.
We were 2 years removed from these guys. We act like we never heard about them. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Terrell Edmonds, Justin Evans. I mean, we talk about, we're talking about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, do you remember what Justin Evans looked like out there? Do you remember Sidney Brown in the slot just because we put him there because we had to have him there? I mean,
shout out CJ getting signed by the practice squad for the Ravens.
No, shout out, man, CD Deuce. You know, we are a big fan on the show. I'm very happy to see you in Baltimore. The funniest part about it is Kenyon Green and C.J. Gardner-Johnson both play for the Ravens now. So
he might not even play though. He's on the practice team, and he might not even play.
No, he'll be called up. He'll be called up. He did the good thing. He did the good thing as a veteran. There's no way in the world C.J. Gardner-Johnson would sign with the Baltimore Ravens with the intention of being on the practice squad for the entire year because those checks compared to game checks are not even close. So I know for a fact he's still getting paid, but he's going to be on that roster at some point, and a lot of it's going to be potentially playing some slot for Baltimore. I think Gardner-Johnson's still a really good football player. I don't care what people say about him as a person or a locker room teammate. It is what it is.
I know. I know you're a fan. So let's get off CJ. Let's go back to the Birds. Before I move this graphic here, I know we said there's nobody on here who kind of fits it. I mean, I think Miles, Trey, and Crosby.
Yeah, but
Vic will make it work. They'll fit.
Yeah.
But out of those three, which I don't think are on the list, we talked about Jermaine Johnson. Anybody else on here besides the elite three, I think, from a pass rushing standpoint, any other guys on here makes any sense? To me, Jermaine Johnson makes sense. He fits the bill, 6'5".
Yeah, Jermaine's the only one. Yeah, Jermaine's the only one. Chubb's contract's too much. Phillips' injury history is a little scary compared to production. Will McDonald's, I don't see why they would move McDonald, and he doesn't.
I found Barnett interesting. He's a true 4-3 end.
There is no way that Howie Roseman would trade back for a first-round pick. So that's not happening.
Okay. All right.
And they had the chance to sign Tryon Choyenka this offseason. They didn't sign him. So
yeah, I agree. I do like the Jermaine Johnson reach under Vic, and just playing with front like we have might give him some opportunities. He
can play a little 5, little 4.
He had a bad. He had 1 year. I just looked at his numbers. He had 1 year where he kind of looked.
Well, he was hurt that year. He blew out a
7.5 sack year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he had 7.5 sacks 1 year, and then kind of everything else has not been. He just got his first sack last game. I don't know how. Obviously, nobody watches Jets games, so I don't know how they're using him. I don't know if he's starting. I don't know if they're using him sparingly.
He is. He's just him and McDonald. They're just edge rushers on the team. But they're, again, those guys are hand in the dirt, 4-3 pass rushers. It almost seems like every person on here is a 4-3 edge rusher. But
yeah. I mean, I think I've seen Chubb stand up. I've seen Crosby stand up.
He can, but standing up and dropping into coverage are two.
Yeah, and Miles can do it all. But it's just
but that's
far. That's us wishing. That's us wishing.
Yeah.
So let's not wish. Let's find solutions to the problems, ladies and gentlemen, with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want well wishes. I don't want say let's go get Myles Garrett. No, it's not realistic. It's just not. Okay, because then you shake up the whole entire thing on defense. That means who knows what happens with Carter. Davis is playing like the best defensive lineman on this team. And then don't forget about Mitchell, Cooper, all on the right. And did we pay Blankenship or no? We didn't pay Blankenship. Not yet. So when you drop $200 million or whatever how much Garrett makes on this team, it completely shakes up. And I get it. It's Myles Garrett. Yeah, but we were really effing good before Myles Garrett, right? We won a Super Bowl without Myles Garrett. So we don't technically need Myles Garrett, even though we need Myles Garrett, if you feel what I'm saying. So let's put out real solutions to problems, right? Because I'm ready to hit the panic button because we're driving out the wheel and this thing is swerving slowly, and we're all on the back watching. We're watching as it swerves across, right? We're swerving to the edge. where down the edge says 2003. So 2023 is down over across the edge. So let's move on. We talked about the pass rush situation on defense.